Hello, everybody. Welcome or welcome back to The Crow. We are your hosts, Anna Barrett
and Justin Travis. Thank you for joining us. I'm a senior at Jacksonville State and the sports editor for the Chanticleer.
And I am a junior and the news editor. We wanted to start a podcast to have more of a conversation with our audience. Unfortunately, this will be our last episode of the semester. Thank you all for listening to us every week.
Jumping right into the stories from the past week, there have been 5 stories published since the last episode of The Crow.
At number 1, we have Holocaust Remembrance Program, highlighting a second-generation Holocaust survivor, by Gracelyn Roney, correspondent. Jacksonville State University hosted the Holocaust Remembrance Program last Tuesday night in Merrill Hall to discuss the significance of the historic event and to highlight the story of Christopher Birdie, a second-generation Holocaust survivor. Since 1982, JSU has held an annual program to celebrate the Holocaust Days of Remembrance. April Maddox, a professor in the Department of English, said that it is important to know the history so it will not repeat itself. She said, "We really appreciate the effort you put into teaching the Holocaust and its history and its literature, so that these students will never forget and they will know this horrible history, and we can have more tolerance among ourselves." Christopher Birdie, the keynote speaker of the night, spoke on the importance of remembering the Holocaust and his personal testimony of reclaiming his identity as a Jew. Birdie began his speech talking about the life he lived as a Southern American. He told the audience about the stereotypical Southern traits he possessed. He said, "I've become something of a stereotype." Birdie concluded his talk with a discussion of reconciliation and remembrance. He said, "In 2020, the Austrian government, after many years of being prodded and pushed to change the citizenship laws, allowed for individuals of, or direct victims of, the Nazi regime to reclaim their citizenship. He, along with many of his family members, made the decision to file for dual citizenship in Austria as their own form of reconciliation." He said, "I think my grandfather would probably be proud and celebrate the fact that I'm reclaiming my heritage. This, I think, is the first step in reconciliation. I don't think you can reconcile without also acknowledging and remembering." You can find the full article on our website, jsuchanticleer.com, or on our app.
Coming in at number 2, we have Jack State's bowling team crowned national champions by me. Jacksonville State's inaugural bowling season culminated in a 2024 NCAA Division I National Championship victory Saturday over Conference USA rival Arkansas State, 4-3 in Allen Park, Michigan. The number 1 ranked Gamecocks came back from a 3-2 deficit against number 2 Arkansas State in Saturday night's best-of-7 Baker match. Athletic Director Greg Seitz said, "This has been a great ride, a great journey to have in the first year of our program. We've got a veteran team with a great coach that has won 9 tournaments already, so the national championship is just icing on the cake." Jack State got off to a hot start to take Game 1, 239-194, dominating the left lane with the help of graduate student Rebecca Hagerman. Hagerman, who was recently named 2024 National 10-Pin Coaches Association's Division I Player of the Year, set the tone of the match early for Jacksonville State. After the game, she said, "Through times where it wasn't that great or the other team was striking against us, we decided we were going to stay connected. It doesn't matter what the other team does. As long as we are with us, we are good." It was that mindset that helped Hagerman earn Most Outstanding Player honors in the match. Head coach Shannon O'Keefe added her 3rd national championship to her resume after winning 2 at Division II McKendree University. She said, "These kids believed in us, they followed us, and they didn't have to do that. For us to be able to bring all this back to Jack State and the entire community is just incredible." The story did well on Facebook, garnering 350 plus likes and 19 plus comments that were filled with congratulations. Facebook commenter Drake Smith said, "Give me merch for this team expeditiously." You can find the full article on our website, jsuchanticleer.com, or on our app.
At number 3, we have Storm Shelter to be completed by May 2025 by Adriana Johnson, correspondent. Construction began in March on a new multi-use tornado-rated storm shelter adjacent to Bennett Field and Paul Carpenter Village, according to university officials. The facility will be a total of 16,000 square feet and can provide refuge from severe weather for approximately 3,000 people, according to an email sent to students and staff in early April. The email from the Jacksonville State University Department of Public Safety also said construction is expected to be completed by May 2025. The facility's construction has been announced to impact parking and many activities around campus, according to the email. Arletha Harmon, the Vice President of Finance and Administration, said, "This project was strategically placed to offer shelter to the west side of the JSU campus and will be open for public emergency use. Due to the multi-use aspect, the Marching Southerners and any other approved organizations can use the space, according to Renee Baptiste, the head of the music department. She said, as the facility is in close proximity to Bennett Field, the Marching Southerners practice field, it will offer an alternate site for rehearsal when indoor rehearsal is needed. This would help when the focus is on the music separate from marching, or when various sections of the large ensemble meet for their rehearsals. You can read the full article on our website, jsuchanticleer.com, or on our app. At number 4, we have additional trustees may join, pending bill, by me. A bill is moving through the state legislature that, if passed, would add 2 at-large members to the Jacksonville State University Board of Trustees. House Bill 329 and Senate Bill 229 are identical, and they originated by the request of the university, according to Chief External Affairs Officer Leah Cawthon. Cawthon told the Chanticleer via email one reason for the requested expansion is to accommodate for the university's alumni base within and outside of the state. She said she is heavily involved with the legislation due to her position at the university. She wrote, "We saw an opportunity to expand our Board of Trustees to fit our growing student population, alumni base within the state and outside of the state, as well as being in line with our peer universities in size and structure." Multiple efforts to set up an interview for more details were not immediately successful. Co-sponsored by Representative Chad Robertson, a Republican from Heflin, Senator Keith Kelly, a Republican from Anniston, and 14 other representatives and senators from the Jacksonville area, the bills would expand the Board of Trustees to compensate for recent university growth and provide more diversity to the board, according to Robertson. Under existing law, JSU's Board of Trustees has 2 at-large members, one that lives in Alabama, Randy Owen, and one that does not, Tony Ingram. The bill would expand the at-large members to include 2 within the state and 2 outside of the state, according to an amendment that passed in the House Education Policy Committee last Wednesday. The House version of the bill passed with 1 abstention in the chamber Tuesday and will go to Senate committee. If passed, Governor Kate Ivey would appoint 2 additional members to the board. According to the bills, it would go into effect on June 1st. You can find the full article and read the bills in their entirety on our website, jsuchanticleer.com, or on our app.
Last but not least, at number 5, we have Students Travel to Mexico City on a Study Tour by Austin Tackett, correspondent. We won't talk much about this story right now because the author will be joining us for the deep dive. That being said, here's a brief synopsis of the story. During spring break, a group of students and 2 professors traveled to Mexico City, Mexico on a study tour for an art or history course. A week where most students and faculty relax and forget about school, Trey Ridlin, a professor of art history, and Lance Ingerson, a professor of Latin American history, said they took the week to lead a group of 10 students around Mexico City with the help of a tour guide on some days. The trip lasted 9 days from March 14th to March 23rd, according to graduate student Savannah Mason, who attended the trip. You can find the full article on our website, jsuchanticleer.com, or on our app.
Moving right along to our sports update for the week. Justin, take it away.
The Jack State baseball team has gone 2-3 since the last episode of the podcast, picking up wins against the Liberty Flames and the Alabama State Yellow Jackets to move to 13-23 on the year and 3-9 in Conference USA play. The Gamecocks softball team went 1-2 over the past week in their home series loss to the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. Jack State won the opening game of the series last Friday, 8-7, before dropping the next 2 games. As we already talked about, the bowling team won the NCAA championship over the weekend. Along with Hagerman's accolades this year, 3 other Gamecocks earned All-American honors with graduate players Crystal Elliott and Miranda Patterson on the first team, and senior Isabel Allen on the second team. That's it for the Sports Scores Report.
Now for the deep dive. Before we start interviewing our journalists for the week, we want to give you a brief overview of them and what they do for us at the Chanticleer. Austin Tackett is a sophomore here at Jacksonville State. He is majoring in communications and minoring in psychology. He writes for us in the sports and news sections. So, Austin, how long have you been writing for the Chanticleer?
This is my first semester writing for the Chanticleer. I got introduced to it last year while taking Intro to News with Professor Cunningham. The current editor-in-chief, Madeline, came in and talked to my class, introduced us to SPJ, maybe volunteering for the Chanticleer. And I decided to wait until I was ready and I learned a little bit more about journalism before diving into it. And I think that was a big help for me.
So, Austin, tell us a little bit about what sections you've written for and kind of that experience.
Okay, I started in news, and Justin stole me about halfway through the semester.
Yeah.
But starting in news, I think I started on the UPD beat. I think that was easy for me because we learned a lot about that in Intro to News. But I always said that I want to be a sports writer. I mean, if I had to pick a dream job, it would be a sports writer. So
Yeah.
Justin coming over and letting me write for sports after doing the assignment for Dr. Teddy was really good on my mental. It was really good for me, and it really helped me figure out more what I wanted to do with the Chanticleer rather than just picking up any story that was handed to me.
So what is your favorite article you have written?
I think the most enjoyable article in terms of being a student at Jack State would have to be my most recent softball article. We shut out New Mexico State 11-0, I believe, in 5 innings, and our pitcher, Junior Cat Carter, threw a shutout, only allowing 3 hits, and the defense had no errors. And I really enjoyed that game. I've never been to a softball game, high school, middle school, let alone college, and the environment, the energy was just way different. I mean, I was expecting more of a baseball-like environment, but the girls brought way more energy than some of the baseball players do, and I think I really enjoyed that, and it was really impactful to me to hear how much energy they could bring. But other than that story, my most recent Mexico City story was very enjoyable in terms of the process.
Tell us a little bit more about the softball story. What was it like talking to coaches and players?
I didn't really talk to the coaches and players. This was my, I think it was my first or second time covering the softball games, and it was my first time finding the press box. So I took the opportunity to sit back a little bit and just kind of appreciate what was going on around me and take a look at what other people are doing, what questions they're asking, kind of lead off of what other people are doing around me before I jump into it too deep, I would say.
The softball press box is a little bit more easy to find than
really?
baseball. Yeah, baseball's pretty hidden, but softball is like you just gotta walk up upstairs and you're there.
I'm jealous. The baseball is very difficult to find. So kind of talk to us a little bit about your process for writing, especially about this Mexico City story that you wrote. What was it like setting up interviews and that kind of thing?
Setting up interviews, this was my first time ever doing something like this where I had to reach out to students and professors individually to set up an interview. And it was very different. I mean, most of the time, whether it be a press conference or, say, when I covered the reaccreditation process and I talked to the president and the provost, they were already there and they were expecting me to be there or expecting someone to be there to cover the story. But for me to reach out to the professors and the students to interview them, I think is a lot different because they're not really 100% prepared. And I mean, I wouldn't say they treat me as much as like a media person as a press conference would or speaking with the president would. They treat me more of like a student, like a friend, and they want to share their experiences with me. And I think that was a big difference in this story compared to everything else that I've written so far, is just the relationship that I was able to build between the professors and the students.
That's a really big part of what we do, is building relationships and maintaining them. We have to treat the people that we talk to like humans. They're not just banks of information. It's sometimes you got to go in and say, hey, how are you doing? How's your family? How's your day gone? And you work into it and you build that relationship with them. And that also makes it a little easier whenever you need to talk to them again because you've built that relationship and they trust you.
And then to go on the point that Austin made, when you're talking to someone who kind of doesn't know you're going to go talk to them, it can make for a better interview and more personal and emotional. I think one of the cool interviews I had was the New Orleans Bowl with Garrison Ripa. Because Coach Rodriguez always knows you're going to talk to him after the game. Like, he's always expecting that interview. But Garrison was a freshman who sat out the whole season until the last game, made probably the biggest play of the season, kicking the game-winning field goal. But his interview was so genuine and so unique that he kind of gave the best quotes.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's the people that aren't expecting it that are the best interviews and the best people to talk to.
I agree. One of the students I met with, she was a grad student from Northwest Alabama, and even though we only talked for less than 30 minutes, we built a real positive relationship in terms of her opening up to me about her trip, her coming out of her shell throughout this trip, and that relaying to coming back home. And I think that's just not something that a lot of media people see. It's not something that I expected going into journalism, but building those relationships and being able to connect with those people and reach those people is something that I really appreciate.
So, Austin, you've worked closely with me and Anna. How are we doing our job as editors?
Yeah, that's something that I focused on a lot during my recent editor interview, was you two, actually. I told Cunningham that to have you guys to be there for me and to really assist me and guide me in anything I need. I mean, I felt like I could text Anna or text Justin at any time of the day besides sleeping hours,
Yeah.
and they're gonna text me back and help me out to the best of their ability. And I mean, I've never ran into a problem that they were not able to figure out. And I think they played a big part in me not only working as hard as I have, but getting the quality of stories that I think I've been achieving.
Thanks, man.
That's really kind.
We always remember that even though we're editors, we still make mistakes, and we always edit each other's papers as well. And I think specifically for the volunteer experience, for those who are out there who want to write, I'd say go for it, especially
Absolutely.
for the Chanticleer, just go for it. We're lenient with if you could say yes or no to it, but, these are always things that it's up to you. It's up to your schedule, and if you want to try and write, I recommend doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think anybody who wants to try to even write a sports article, I mean, I think could be one of the easier ones to write, but it's more fun. Anybody who wants to attempt that, I mean, I think they should go try it. Anybody who believes. I remember reading the letter to the editor the other day, and I think that was really impactful on the Chanticleer. And I think we could use more volunteers like that, whether it be letter to the editor or you're coming in and volunteering and covering some news on campus or what is or isn't going good on campus. I think that'd be something that could really not only help the Chanticleer, obviously, but help the students maybe find themselves a little bit more, because that's what it did for me, I would say.
So tell us a little bit more about what it's like workshopping in person on a story.
So I've workshopped with a few people in person on a story, those people being Anna and Professor Cunningham. And I think it's really impactful and beneficial to my writing, not only if I do happen to get an editorial position in the future, but for me to edit my own stories before I send them off, and to make sure that I minimize mistakes, that I minimize as much fault as I can in my story before sending it to my editor, so I can make their job a little bit easier.
Thank you so much for joining us today on our
guys.
last episode of The Crow. Very sad. The deep dive section is a great way for us to learn from you and for the audience to learn from all of us about how this whole journalism thing works. For our audience, you can find Austin's articles on our website, jsuchanticleer.com, or on our app.
As we wrap up this episode, let's talk about what you can look forward to throughout the week.
On Thursday, April 18th, there will be a nursing senior recognition ceremony at the Pete Matthews Coliseum from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will also be a cycling club ride starting at 5:30. Anybody interested should meet the cycling club at the University Recreation Center. Bikes and helmets will be provided, but supplies are limited.
On Thursday, the women's tennis team will begin their Conference USA tournament in Miami, Florida. On Friday, April 19th, the Jacksonville State football team will hold their annual spring game at 6 p.m. at Burger Snow Field. Also on Friday, the women's tennis team will continue their competition in the Conference USA tournament. The track and field team will head to the Georgia Tech Invitational in Atlanta, and the softball team will play at FIU in Miami at 5 p.m. on Friday. On Saturday, the women's tennis team finishes off their competition in the Conference USA tournament. The track and field team finishes off their play at the Georgia Tech Invitational, and the men's tennis team begins their competition in the Conference USA semifinals in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The softball team also plays their second game of the series against FIU at 3 p.m. on Saturday. On Sunday, April 21st, the softball team finishes off their play at FIU at 12 p.m.
The last day of classes is on Monday, April 22nd. There will also be a sales pitch competition from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Merrill Hall.
Also on Monday, the men's golf team finishes off their play at the Conference USA Championship.
On Tuesday, April 23rd, finals week begins. Good luck to students and good luck to teachers grading.
Also on Tuesday, the baseball team plays at UAB in Birmingham, Alabama at 4 p.m.
Thank you all for listening. Just as a reminder, on top of being able to listen to The Crow on our website, you can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Crow will also be aired on WOJS 91.9 FM on Thursday morning at 9 and Friday evening at 6.
We are your hosts, Anna Barrett
And Justin Travis. Thank you for listening to us this semester.